but these are the notes, handwritten notes, which people have made. This is a note on polity, type of majority. You would see absolute, effective, simple, and the whole spectrum of IR, another big section. There were simpler times with IR when you would simply be asked that Mediterranean Sea is a border of which of the following country. Very simple, right? Nothing else is needed. But now both mapping and CA matters. Hota kya hai ki we all download the notes and we forget to study them. And there's this bigger pile of notes in front of us, almost like a sarkari TV. And up till the end of exam, kuch nahi hota unme se. Guys, cool. Let me start. The only two things that I'm going to talk about is how UPSC has changed and how you or a good bunch of people among you have changed their preparations. Okay. Everything else that I talk about, every other notes that I take you through, all the questions that I take you through will be a part of this understanding that two things have changed over the last 2-3 years. One, UPSC has seriously upped its level. Themes which were much, much more simpler to manage and, ace before are slightly more difficult now. And I'll show you with examples. That's one. Secondly, people among you are getting to serious studies. I mean, before this webinar, we run a full year course UAP where we give mentorship, a very guided, elaborate mentorship to students. And I requested all my mentors to get some of the notes from the students, some of the people who I think have a serious stake in this year's prelims. And these are some of the notes. Are you able to see it? Do you want me to zoom it a little? These are students' names. The names have been changed, but these are the notes, handwritten notes, which people have made. This is a note on polity, type of majority. You would see absolute, effective, simple, and the whole spectrum of how this majority, helps, or what are the constraints when a certain kind of law have to be passed, in the legislature. This is visible to you, right, guys? This is Sarthak. Again, this is one single crisp pager notes on Naxalism. Everything, so we usually give directives to our students, ki kya kya likhna hai, kya kya nahi likhna, and everything that we gave, all of that condensed into one single page. सृष्टि, ये नोट्स और ये वाला मैप तो सब नहीं बनाया होगा. इंडिया का मैप पे मॉन्ट्रियो रिकॉर्ड्स और ये सारी साइट्स जो भी हैं, वेटलैंड साइट्स वगैरह वगैरह, आप लोगों ने खुद के भी ऐसे नोट्स बनाए होंगे. नहीं बनाए होंगे तो देन यू वुड हैव गॉटन दिस फ्रॉम some or the other booklet, Shankar or any other, I guess. But this is when a student goes one level further. This is when they go state specific and they try to give the mnemonics and they try to elaborate and expand on if there's a sanctuary or a wildlife reserve, which is much more famous or is in news. They'll try to elaborate on the word, right? You can see from the annotations, this is much, much more deep work done. And this is what we've been seeing all around. This is from economics. And when we see all these, right, these are our students. Names have been changed, but these are our students. When we saw them, going out there and daily in, day out and, adhering to the targets which we give them and making the notes, then we sat with them and we sat with the rankers. And these are the kind of notes which I believe you would have downloaded for free. These are the notes that we made. Agar aap dekh rahe ho, to these are the notes from the 80 species. Species is a very important part of your prelims preparation. These are the notes which are hierarchically put from across the species. जितनी important है न्यूज में, वो न्यूज में क्यों important है, यहाँ पे हाइपरलिंक दिया हुआ है. द हिंदू में 2023 22nd of December को न्यूज में आया था दोबारा. 21st December 2022 को ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड न्यूज में आया था. एंड we kind of realized that for us to have a very good chance of our students clearing prelims, this is how detailed their preparation has to be. And there's a reason why we are so strict and so meticulous about our notes. And the reason is this, that the kind of questions which used to come in UPSC have changed. 2015 में ये बहुत सिंपल सवाल आया था, which of the following is a national aquatic animal of India? I've given the answer here, but anyone who's slightly more aware of the news and the kind of missions and policies Sarkar is doing would have heard about Gangetic dolphin there, and it's easy to take. Now, 2022, this question came in the UPSC prelims. Which of the following is not a bird? There is no chance you can take a wild guess or an extrapolated, elimination guess if you have no idea of news and whatnot, right? You cannot just guess your way out of this question. Let me give you more examples. Species. 2013 and 2012 में questions were relatively simple. In which of the following tale is this particular monkey found? Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. It's very simple. अगर आपने थोड़ा बहुत भी पढ़ाई की होगी and if you basically made your basic revision notes, you would have been able to get the answers right. There's no guessing involved here. You just have to know as a fact. 2012. Which of the following groups animals belong to the category of endangered species? Again, endangered species is a very, very prominent key term which all of you are aware of and we all have notes. बट 2023 में क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग फॉना लॉन्ग टेल मकाक malabar civet and sambar deer. How many of above are generally nocturnal or most active above after sunset? Why would you remember this? Like अगर आप अभी prepare कर रहे हो, how many of can give the answer without actually, how many of you were able to can take a wild guess to this question? Not many. And these are the kind of questions जो prelims में आ रहे हैं. Now, the first question, this question which I shared with you before, this one on the right side, a hint of that question came in one of the newspapers, right? So, because of pandemic disruption, there was a particular kind of a fish, जिसकी conservation में काफी issue आ रहे थे, and so there was a newspaper entry into this. Again, not very important, and it's very difficult for people to spot it, and it's very difficult for them to just make a note of it or remember. But these are the kind of questions which came in that year prelims, and these are the kind of questions which came in the news, and kind of information which came in the news. Now, when we saw that this is where UPSC is veering, because we kind of see the trend कि species के सवाल बहुत simple आ रहे थे और अब वो सवाल difficult होते जा रहे हैं, so that means your notes have to reflect that. When that starts happening, this is a snapshot of our dominant prelims notes, which I hope you all have got. If you have not, please type on the chat if you have not got them. But this is where we realize that wherever our government has put any focused effort in the conservation of a species, however exotic, you need to know that. So you would read that there's certain kind of a plant, Concorpus plant, and Gujarat has issued a circular to control the growth of the exotic species Concorpus, citing adverse impacts on environment and human health. You understand, right? As a bureaucrat, you have to be on the eye of what new plants or what new species, even if they've not put into a certain schedule or a section of the act, what are being discovered in the news and what is government doing for them. This is local state governments waking up to make sure that certain things are put in order. Again, you would see that white cheek macaque is again in 2023 cited in India for the first time in the remote Anjor district in the central Arunachal Pradesh. Now, this is the level of notes that you should be making. अगर आप लोगों के ऐसे notes हैं, awesome. If not, then the course of dominant prelims and these free PDFs are there to make sure that you are able to spot such questions in the upcoming prelims. Let's go further, and we'll keep coming back to this and we'll reference this again and again, right? IR, another big section. There were simpler times with IR when you would simply be asked that Mediterranean Sea is a border of which of the following country. Very simple, right? Nothing else is needed. But now both mapping and CA matters, right? In the recent years, Chad, Ghana, Mali, and Sudan got international attention for which of the following reasons is common to all. Not only you have to be good with current affairs, you also have to know what kind of, what specific theme were these collective folks known for. 2023, further, read this question number 10. With reference to India's project on connectivity, consider the following statement. Read all the statements. There is no chance that if you do not have a macro understanding of what's going on in IR, आप इनको attempt कर पाओगे. You may get better in guesstimates because Zeeshan sir does, he'll take classes, he'll take specific Zoom sessions with you every weekend, or I think every other weekend, or once every week. But that level of maturity will only come when your notes are prepared in a way that you're able to even attempt, or you think of attempting such questions. Now, you see the evolution of IR here. Let me take you further. (2015) Ebola. Simple question. If you know anything about Ebola, you would know which of the countries were involved in the outbreak or which of the countries were mentioned in the news very frequently. But 2023, you must be knowing the Ukraine crisis. We did expect a question in prelims and we did expect a question in mains, and we got both. But यहाँ पे क्या है? Not only Ukraine, you need to know exactly उसकी geopolitical and geographical location क्या है. if you're understanding that topic in depth, you would know what are the countries which are lining borders with that. And that is where it will quiz you. And जब UPSC के prelims का level is at this high, you cannot afford to go back to your simpler linear notes, or you cannot afford to go back to, non-revision worthy notes and hope of cracking the prelims. These are the screenshot of the notes which you prepared then. So I've shown you the kind of notes which our students are preparing, and many of you, I don't know, are there UAP students here, or are you all those guys who got from the notes? Are there any Civilsdaily UAP students here? Just give me a cheer. Okay, Sai, you're here. Sumit, wait. All of you guys are giving for the first time, right? This is a very practical webinar, so I just really want you to be very forthcoming with the answers. Cool. This is mostly the first serious attempt for all of you guys. Those notes which I shared are from one of your, some of your peers. So, पूरे साल की mentorship में, your notes would either look something like this, or you would know that this is where competition is getting elevated, right? So two things are changing. But UPSC is kind of ratcheting it, its seriousness, and you see the questions and their arc. Simple question थे IR में, species में, और अब वो सवाल difficult हो रहे हैं. I'm with you guys, right? I'm making sense to you, right? This is me sharing all the examples and, not giving a gyan which is not rooted in practicality. Let me take it to the questions again. Those questions, सवाल ही नहीं होता आप अपने आप solve कर पाओ. 2015 or 2023 के question में there's a sea change of difference. Again, in these questions are almost looking like if you haven't prepared mains level thoda, yeah, if you haven't prepared in like some depth, you will never even be able to attempt a guess on these questions. Question this one, when it came, we kind of wanted our students to leave this question because there is no way. This was the first time when something like this came in prelim, that, a species which is not that even in mainstream news caught attention of UPSC, and they kind of made a question on that. The question is pretty simple. If you would have read this, उसने बस यही पूछा है if it's a bird or a fish, and if you would have just even read this question, read the news, you would have been able to answer, अच्छा ये bird तो नहीं है, fish. But आया यहाँ से था. And if UPSC can ask you these questions, UPSC might well ask these questions, or questions, spawning from these notes that we prepared in this year's prelims. You never know, right? So when that happens, these are the levels of flash notes and dominate short notes, which most of you would have gotten as a free download, or the people who are already in our course should have gotten that. If not, I would request my team to kind of give them a link to download it again. If you have not, just type yes, we'll be giving you. Atul, just share the link of download for the free PDF that we've released for everyone for 24 hours. Okay. And this change in the arc and change in the difficulty of the question is not only with prelims. Mains ke sawal dekho, 2018, the question, the theme is same. Okay. Constitution ko kind of analyze kare, right? 2018 question, India and USA are two large democracies. Examine the basic tenets on which two political systems are based. Very broad question. And if you've studied even a little bit of Lakshman, you will be able to do some answers here. 2021, the question becomes, analyze the distinguishing features of the notion of right to equality in the Constitution of USA and India. Right? India and USA, two large democracies. 2018 question, you will write everything. You write right to equality, all other rights you will mention, right? Simple question. 2021, the question is now much more specific. What exactly is the distinguishing feature of the notion of right to equality? And trust me, with Ram Mandir coming here and with all the other things even more specific in India right now, we're kind of reimagining our history, which we apparently lost in translation. Things are going to be much more specific, much more pointed, focused for you guys to answer, because you're going to be the budding bureaucrats, right? And with that as the backdrop, right? The level of your preparation, and we'll come to some of these notes, and if you want, I'll take you to some of the PDFs and I'll take you through some of the pages and kind of highlight what all is important, so that when you do your self-study, you're able to make sure you remember the right points, you remember the right notes. But with that as the backdrop, with that as the change, one more thing needs a massive serious focus from you. That is how well are you doing your NCRTs? This is a question which we get from everyone, that how many revisions are enough for NCRT. Yeah, I'll share some of the questions right now in the coming screen. अगर आप उन सारों को सॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे हो ना, then your NCRT revision is not done. Okay, ready? I'll ask a few questions. Please be a sport और बताओ. These are the questions from UPSC. Please type the answers. These are very simple questions. They came in UPSC prelims. I'll share the source of them as well, but try to answer even one of them. अगर थोड़ा बहुत भी पढ़ाई करिए, try to answer and take any guess. Any guess is fine on the chat box, guys. Especially all the UAP students, all the students of Civilsdaily do the attempt. Okay, you want me to zoom? I don't know if I can. No, they can't be zoomed any further. If you're on your laptop, you will be able to see this. The questions are visible, right? Let me read the question number 54. With the reference to India, Didwana, Kuchaman, Sargol, and Khatu are the names of what? Glaciers, mangrove areas, Ramasar sites, या saline lakes? फिफ्टी फोर्थ का है. जूम अपने आप कर लो यार, एनसीईआरटी के सवाल हैं. जिसको लगता है उसकी एनसीईआरटी ज्योग्राफी की ढंग से रिवाइज हो चुकी है, प्लीज अटेम्प्ट द क्वेश्चंस. बाकी सारे लोग जो बैठे हैं यहाँ पे, मतलब किस लिए आए हो यार? डू यू जस्ट वांट नोट्स? इज दैट ऑल दैट यू वांट? किस किस ने एनसीईआरटी अभी कंप्लीट नहीं किया ज्योग्राफी की? जस्ट गिव मी अ वन. एनसीईआरटी ज्योग्राफी कंप्लीटेड नहीं है. I'll take you to the answers of this. Okay. देखो, जिसने एनसीईआरटी कंप्लीट नहीं किया, pretty late. Okay, these are the answers. All of these questions came from a single chapter in 11th NCERT. तो अगर एनसीईआरटी कंप्लीट नहीं करी है या करी है and you could not answer these questions, it's a wake up call for everyone. You cannot afford to have not completed your NCERT तो उसका अगर रिविजन नहीं हुआ है अभी तक. So the only way you can revise now is if you come and study in batches, if you come and study in a very focused limited time mode, बिल्कुल discipline के साथ, and that is what we do in our dominate prelims program जो अभी कल ही launch हुआ. All the notes that I just showed to you are part of the dominate prelims. अगर रिविजन नहीं हुआ है ना एनसीईआरटी का, you cannot afford to miss a single week. क्योंकि एनसीईआरटी के बाद वो सारे नोट्स रिवाइज करने हैं जो अभी जिसकी फोटोज दिखाए थे और जो मैं आगे दिखाने वाला हूँ. एंड आई ट्राई टू टेक यू गाइज थ्रू वन ऑफ दोज नोट्स. ओके, एक और अटेम्प्ट करें. किसके सवाल सारे सही थे? हु गॉट ऑल द आंसर्स राइट? एनीवन हु गॉट all these three questions right? Cool. Awesome, Khalid. And you have to be honest, right? This is not you're not on a test portal, so be honest. Anyone who got even one of them right? Even one right, and koi tukka nahi. Proper. You knew it and you marked it right. Perfect. I'll carry on with the next set of questions. There's just two more, but just type it out and tell me what is it that's the most difficult part of revision that you felt. Okay, and I'll come back to those questions once I finish off the best part of this webinar, but I'll come to those questions. Okay, moving on. Another question from, NCERT. Consider the following statements. Jhelum River passes through Wooler Lake. Krishna River directly feeds Koleru Lake. Meandering of Gandak River formed Kanwar Lake. How many of these statements are correct? $77. Okay. You know what? 77 is the easiest among these two. First का बता दो पहले. Did you get it right, guys? 77th का A किसने लिखा था? Cool. First, I see very few people have actually got that right. And these are all from NCERTs. And you know what? These are from this segment of NCERT. Would you believe it? मतलब इसे पढ़ना शुरू करोगे and if you do not know how to slot whatever geographical information यहाँ पे दी हुई है, you are bound to forget it. Guys, can I have your videos on? It's almost very difficult for, I want to put faces on the names. It would be good if you can have the videos on. जिन जिन लोगों ने video on किया होगा, I'll take some specific questions from you on audio. Thank you, Sai. Other people, keep the videos on. Neema, Purushottam. Videos on, guys. There's a lot to be shared. There's a lot to be told. नॉर्थ में कौन कौन है अभी यार? जिन जिन के टोपे आ रखे हैं, आई गेस सब दिल्ली या नॉर्थ में ही है कहीं ना कहीं. Cool. So, have you guys made notes from this particular page of NCERT? If you have made it right, you would have been able. The right way of making notes from this particular page would be to make some columns and rows and actually divide across longitude and latitude क्या क्या features हैं. That's the only way in which you can remember NCERTs. There's no other way. आप इसको पढ़ लो, इसको highlight कर लो. There is absolutely no other way you will get across these questions and you will mark them right. And this is where NCERT is even becoming challenging for students. वो सवाल तो difficult हैं ही, जो न्यूज में बहुत ही रैंडमली एक दो बार ब्लिप कर रहे हैं. Even NCERT questions people are not able to completely do. Right? And this is where we come in. Civilsdaily cross UPSC cross you guys. By you guys, I mean the rankers of the past and the students of the present who are actually preparing that diligently. We came up with 20 themes and not just random themes. 20 themes. Like for example, scheme, right? स्कीम्स को कोई भी पढ़ रहा है, कहीं भी पढ़ रहा है, उसको इन डायमेंशन के क्रॉस पढ़नी है. रेलेवेंट मिनिस्ट्री, रेलेवेंट डिपार्टमेंट, सेंट्रल सेक्टर है या फिर स्पॉन्सर्ड है, एम्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव. दीज आर ऑल द जो भी स्क्रीन में दिख रहा है ना, दीज आर ऑल द parameters across which you to sample any scheme which comes in the news. And the reason why we say this is because we've been observing questions after questions from years जो इन डायमेंशन को हिट कर रहे हैं. यू पिकअप एंड इफ अगर खुद से सेल्फ स्टडी कर रहे हो, इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू ज्वाइन एनी कोर्स, मेक श्योर दैट यू आर एबल टू कवर ऑल दीज थिंग्स. ये जो स्कीम्स की पीडीएफ है, 20 पेज की पीडीएफ, माई टीम विल शेयर दिस टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ द वेबिनार. ठीक है? अगर खुद से घर में पढ़ रहे हो, इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू ज्वाइन द डोमिनेट प्रीलिम्स कोर्स व्हिच जस्ट स्टार्टेड यस्टरडे, इस पीडीएफ को लेना, इसमें 20 स्कीम्स हैं, अपने नोट्स देखना, एक बार वापस रिवाइज करना और देखना कि उन नोट्स में तुमने ये डायमेंशन टच कर रखे कि नहीं. अगर नहीं टच कर रखे, मतलब कहीं ना कहीं सवाल आएगा and you will not be able to get it right. The themes keep on going and these are not just current affairs themes, these are themes from everything. Indian mapping अभी दिखाया था ना मैंने थोड़ा टाइम पहले कि कितना इंपॉर्टेंट और डिफिकल्ट हो गया है. मैपिंग में इंपॉर्टेंट दो टाइप की मैपिंग है, इंडियन मैपिंग और इंटरनेशनल मैपिंग. Important regions in news, reverse sources, glaciers, वगैरह वगैरह, everything. Like one of the example is this: with reference to India, consider the following statement. Monazite is a source of rare earth. Monazite contains thorium. Monazite occurs naturally in the entire Indian coastline sands. आपको ये पता करना पड़ेगा, right? These are not places where जहाँ पे तुम तुक्के मार सकते हो. You might be able to do an intelligent guessing on words like entire. है ना? ये सब तो इतना सुन लिया होगा YouTube पे अभी, that जो भी guess work होता है वो absolute word और absolute adjectives पे होता है. But it's much much better अगर आप नोट्स ऐसे बनाओ कि यू डोंट हैव टू डू अ लॉट ऑफ गेस वर्क, राइट? एंड दिस इज द नोट्स जहां पे दीज आर द सेट ऑफ नोट्स. 2 of these notes have been released for free for the last 24 hours. I guess most of you have been able to download, and that is the reason why you got this webinar ka link, because I wanted to tell you the importance of these notes. होता क्या है कि we all download the notes and we forget to study them, and there's this big a pile of notes in front of us, almost like a sarkari TV, and up till the end of exam कुछ नहीं होता इनमें से. So if you're the part of the course, आपको ये notes मिलने वाले हैं. If you have any specific question, आप अभी पूछो. कोई सवाल तुम्हारे prelims preparation से related, type it out. Or if you have a question and you want to voice it out loud, raise your hand up. These notes, इसका link ऊपर दे दिया है. Chat पे थोड़ा scroll up करोगे ना, you'll get the link. मनीषा पूछ रही है मोस्टली पेयर क्वेश्चन गलत हो रहे हैं। ओके, कहाँ से पढ़ रहे हो बाय द वे? हैव यू गाइस जॉइंड एनी मॉक और एनी टेस्ट सीरीज, या खुद से लगा रहे हो? आर यू प्रिपेयरिंग? सीडी के बच्चों को तो ये सब मिल जाएगा, दैट्स कूल। अभी इज आस्किंग आर दीज नोट्स इनफ टू स्कोर इन प्रीलिम्स अभी? सो व्हेनेवर यू हैव अ क्वेश्चन, नो, ट्राई टू गिव मी सम कॉन्टेक्स्ट। थोड़ा बहुत बताओ, कितने मॉक्स लिखे हैं, कितना सिलेबस कंप्लीट कर लिया है। Manisha, you're a Drishti students. I'm honest. I'm big fan of Divyakirti sir, but I don't think the content team is doing that justice to the kind of level of preparation जो आप लोगों को चाहिए. Divyakirti sir sessions लेते होंगे and they must be amazing. But we have three Drishti students जिनको हमें 30% डिस्काउंट दिया है अभी, and they've joined the dominate prelims course with us. तीन बच्चे कल. This is the level of, I'll give you a sneak peek. This is the level of notes that we will be taking classes on. एंड जीशान सर के वीडियोस आप यूट्यूब पे देखना, सीडी के सेक्शन में जो लाइव में आते हैं, दोस एंड मच मच मोर डीपर सेशन विल बी टेकन ऑन जूम। इस नोट्स को पढ़ते हैं, ठीक है? स्कीम्स और वगैरह वगैरह इंपॉर्टेंट है, आपको पता ही है। दिस इज वन ऑफ द स्नैपशॉट फ्रॉम द थीम। पीएम किसान भाई, ठीक है, दिस इज अ स्कीम। व्हाट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज एम्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव, टारगेट ऑडियंस एंड द फीचर्स। अब यहाँ पे जो जो चीजें बोल्ड कर रखी है ना, दोज आर द टैग्स जहाँ पे सवाल बन के आ सकते हैं। there's an autonomy which has been granted to decide them कि कहाँ पे बेचना है, किसको बेचना है, ठीक है? It seeks to break the monopoly of traders. All of these schemes, if you think like a bureaucrat, are basically put in place so that जो भी current affairs के issues हैं, जो भी actual real time issues हैं देश में, they get solved for. Schemes implement सही से हो पाती है, नहीं हो पाती है, that's a different question. Those are the kind of questions तुमको mains में मिलेंगे कि government की intention तो ये थी, but have they been able to do justice with it or not? Provide some measures, etc., etc. But prelims is all about the objective and the ideal state of affairs. So when you read schemes on your own, make sure your notes are divided into these dimensions. The most important dimension and the most missed dimension is the last one, peripheral fact. Produce stored for 15 days or less will not be eligible for the subsidy. The incentive will be calculated on day-to-day basis. ये जो सब्जेक्टिव चीजें है ना, जिस पे आगे चल के जिस भी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में तुम होगे कहीं कहीं धांधली हो जाती है, बट ये जो सब्जेक्टिव चीजें है ना, इन पे सवाल बन के आएंगी। जिसने भी अभी लिखा था ना कि पेयर वाले क्वेश्चंस नहीं हो पा रहे, दीज आर द क्वेश्चंस जो यहाँ से बन के आते हैं। लेट मी टेक यू थ्रू वन मोर। प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना, ठीक है, पेरिफेरल फैक्ट पढ़ना। दिस वाज लॉन्च्ड इन 2016, तो नई स्कीम नहीं है, बट अभी लेटेस्ट दिसंबर 15 को आई थी। व्हेन यू गेट दीज नोट्स, तुम्हें यहाँ पे ना ये पर्पल कलर का लिंक मिला लाइव मिनट का, मैं सेकंड वाले रो पे हूँ, यूल गेट द लिंक, तुम इसका ओरिजिनल न्यूज भी पढ़ सकते हो। द स्कीम वाज वंस मैंडेटरी फॉर लोनी फार्मर्स, बट 2022 द सेंटर मेड इट ऑप्शनल फॉर ऑल फार्मर्स। Farmers, including sharecroppers and tenant farmers growing notified crops in the notified areas, are eligible for coverage. इतना तो पीवाईक्यू तो लोगों ने लगा रखे होंगे ना, या एटलीस्ट मोस्ट ऑफ यू वुड हैव सीन सम ऑफ द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस। गिव मी अ यस और नो। गाइस, पीवाईक्यू देखे हैं किसी ने? पुराने साल के क्वेश्चंस देखे हैं ना, मोटा मोटा? ऑसम। देखा है ना, वहां पे मैंडेटरी, ऑप्शनल, स्कीम्स में सवाल अब ऐसे आते हैं। स्कीम्स आर नो मोर अबाउट हे विच, ऑलमोस्ट एग्जैक्टली राघवेंद्र, ऑलमोस्ट स्कीम्स यूज्ड टू बी समथिंग विद विच वर कि लेबर मिनिस्ट्री और एग्रीकल्चर मिनिस्ट्री की स्कीम्स का नाम ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर लगता था, तो दे वुड आस्क अ क्वेश्चन, ओके विच मिनिस्ट्री इज एक्चुअली द नोडल मिनिस्ट्री फॉर दिस स्कीम, and people who would not know the fact, they will kind of use their intuition and they'll get it wrong. Those were the kind of questions which were asked like 4-5 years ago. अब जो सवाल आ रहे हैं वो उनके नुआंसेस पे आ रहे हैं कि मैंडेटरी है या ऑप्शनल है, पहली बार आई है कि पहले आ चुकी थी और अब दोबारा किसी और फंडों पे हुई है। थर्ड वाला स्कीम देखो, पेरिफेरल फैक्ट, दिस हैज बीन डेवलप्ड कोलैबोरेटिवली बाय these four nodes: MOA, NFW, Ministry of Finance, RBI, NABARD. तुम्हारे को मतलब इट्स ह्यूमनली इम्पॉसिबल टू रिमेंबर स्कीम्स अगर आप ऐसे डिवाइड करके नहीं पढ़ रहे, एंड इट्स स्टिल ह्यूमनली इम्पॉसिबल टू रिमेंबर अगर आप तुम उनके सवाल नहीं लगा रहे हो। और तुम सवाल तभी लगा पाओगे जब तुमको पीवाईक्यूज कोई टीचर या मेंटर दिखाएगा कि ये जो नोट्स बनाए इसलिए बनाए क्योंकि पीवाईक्यूज या प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन थोड़े ऐसे हो गए। जिसने भी कहीं की भी टेस्ट सीरीज ज्वाइन कर रखी है, and you would want to have a detailed one-on-one chat with us, or you want to join this course with us, drop in Atul, just give them a WhatsApp number jahan pe can drop in a hi. They can share their receipts of whichever coaching they've joined. And if you're happy with them, continue with them. If you're not happy with them, अगर तुम्हें लग रहा है इतना रिगर नहीं है वहां पे, then मतलब कोई चांस मत लो यार. मतलब 2024 अटेम्प्ट मई में आने वाला है, कोई चांस लेने का सवाल नहीं है. If you're financially on a difficult, time, we'll help you out. We'll give you the right amount of discounts so that you're able to do justice with this attempt. But the most important thing that I'm trying to tell you is that this, या तो ये तुम बना रहे हो नोट से, या तुम्हारी जो भी कोचिंग है वो बना के तुम्हें दे रही है. ठीक है, बेटर ये होगा कि जो भी आपको टीचर पढ़ा रहे हैं, जो भी आप जहां से भी मार्क्स ले रहे हो, दे शुड बी काइंड ऑफ थिंकिंग लाइक दिस. I'll take you to further. National parks and wetlands. There is a PDF which we prepared only on these things, and we've made sure that you get links for everything that is relevant, so that अगर आप यहाँ से भूल जाओ, पेरिफेरल फैक्ट मतलब मिसलेनियस फैक्ट, राइट? सैमसंग इस यूजर नेम का नाम क्या है? पेरिफेरल फैक्ट मतलब कि आपको सवाल हो सकता है डायरेक्टली ना पूछे, राइट? हो सकता है दे माइट नॉट आस्क यू व्हिच मिनिस्ट्री इज द स्कीम फ्रॉम और व्हाट इज द टारगेट ऑडियंस फॉर द स्कीम, बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल विल नो इट. They would want to know, as a bureaucrat, did you go deep into the understanding of the news? आपने ढंग से PIV पढ़ा कि नहीं, या जहां से भी स्कीम के बारे में मोर एलैबोरेट खबर है, अगर आप वो पढ़ोगे तो आप पेरिफेरल फैक्ट के भी नोट्स बना रहे होंगे, राइट? सो पेरिफेरल फैक्ट्स are all about those miscellaneous trivia which you are supposed to know because you're giving the ICE exam. अगर ये एग्जाम बैंक पीओ का होता, I mean, even the first 2-3 columns would have sufficed. ठीक है, ये वाला देखो, wetlands and national parks, right? The most important column for this is the second column, summary. Why were they in news? Because if they were in news for the right reasons, which are prelims worthy, people will pick it up. There are high chances कि वो prelims में आ जाए. If they were not in news, मतलब chances है कि वो नहीं ही आएगा, right? Corbett Tiger Reserve. The article highlights the importance of balanced approach towards wildlife protection, community engagement, and ecological sustainability. When you open up the link, you will try kind of see कि कोई अलग पॉलिसी या कुछ अलग इनिशिएटिव हुआ होगा जिसकी वजह से CTR न्यूज में. थर्ड रो पढ़ो, Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park, right? Siberian tigers return to Darjeeling Zoological Park after 16 years. Right? There's some comeback which has happened. So it becomes slightly important, right? मतलब there's smart work जो UPSC में होता है वो यही होता है कि जो भी तुमने नोट्स बनाए हैं, आर यू हाईलाइटिंग थिंग्स व्हिच मेक यू रिवाइज देम मोर एंड मोर, राइट? क्योंकि कंटेंट तो बहुत पड़ा है. ये सारे नोट्स में से कुछ तो फ्री आपको अवेलेबल है, कुछ आर ओनली फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स. इनकी जो क्लास में अभी ले रहा हूँ, ये मैं डिटेल्ड क्लास में ले रहा हूँ. वील बी हैविंग सेशंस ऑन दीज नोट्स फॉर यू. The proper sessions, 2-2 hour sessions on these notes, wherein जहां जहां जो बोल्ड हाईलाइट किया गया है, our teachers, our mentors, they take you through. Zeeshan sir जिन्होंने क्वेश्चंस वगैरह निकाल के दिए, जो मैंने तुम्हें ट्रेंड्स दिखाए, those are the trends he studies. ये सब चीजें जो यहाँ पे मैंने आपको ट्रेंड्स दिखाए थे ना, ये एनसीईआरटी के सवाल हैं जो आसान नहीं है लेकिन हो जाने चाहिए. That these were the trends. These trends were put out by Arvind sir, who handles the mains initiative. These things, कि how and what is the difficulty which UPSC is now gearing up for the IR, for the species. These are just simple examples जिस पे बेस्ड होके PYQ बने थे और जिस पे बेस्ड होके हमारे मॉक टेस्ट के क्वेश्चन बनते हैं. So the course that we've launched, which started yesterday, which is open for every one of you to join, is the Dominate Prelims course. This is the 4th edition of Dominate Prelims. And it's being handled by Zeeshan sir, who will be in Pune as well. Mostly वो classes size room में लेंगे. अगर Pune center में हो तो maybe we'll ask him to come and meet you in person as well. And Sumit sir will take these value enrichment classes in the Delhi center. So offline भी है. This is the Dominate Prelims. So जिसने भी कोई भी कोचिंग ज्वाइन कर रखी है, अगर आपको लगता है कि नोट्स आपके इस लेवल पे नहीं है, मत वेस्ट करो अपना टाइम. I can understand. Go ahead, ask the question. जिसने भी चैट पे लिखा है. All the 20 notes free of cost. No, so not all the notes are free of cost. So we released only 2 notes yesterday for 24 hours, and that to tell you कि this is the level जहाँ पे खुद के notes होने चाहिए. I'll give you the 20 themes की PDF for free. No, you cannot write notes in Bengali. I guess I don't know what that question is. We'll release the 20 themes जो हमने ढंग से prepare करनी है, right? ये जो themes आपको दिख रही है ना यहाँ पे, if you've gone through this, go through the columns of this theme, right? The last column are some of the questions which we've seen which have come in 2021 onwards, right? Look at the theme 15. Who among the following is associated with songs from prison, a translation of ancient Indian religious lyrics in English? Anyone? Can anyone attempt this question? And because we realize that UPSC in modern history is going into this literature, newspaper, poetry, etc., so the flash notes which are prepared are basically around this. If you want to study personalities, make sure you know what political party they were associated with, what institutions they were a part of, newspapers and books उन्होंने लिखी और इनका किस टाइप का सत्याग्रह था. क्वेश्चन विजिबल नहीं है तो PDF इस सेमिनार की भी मैं दे दूंगा तुम्हें एंड में, उसमें देख लेना. पर जितने भी लोग बाकी हैं, जितने भी लोग पढ़ रहे हैं और जो सीरियसली अटेम्प्ट दे रहे हैं, यू कैन नॉट अफोर्ड टू टेक अ ट्रिवियल रिविजन और अ स्टडी पैटर्न फॉर द नेक्स्ट फ्यू मंथ्स दैट आर लाइंग अहेड ऑफ यू. क्योंकि ये जो बुक का चैप्टर है ना जिसमें से क्वेश्चंस बन के है, दिस इज अ पेज फ्रॉम एनसीईआरटी, राइट? इफ यू नॉट एबल टू मेक नोट्स आउट ऑफ दिस, और नोट्स ऐसे ही बनाने पड़ते हैं, नोट्स में इंडियन मैपिंग का जो थीम 13 दिख रहा है ना, मैपिंग के अक्रॉस कॉलम बनाओगे, उन डायमेंशन पे तुम इस पेपर के नोट्स बनाओगे, तब जाके आप ये सब सवाल सॉल्व कर पाते हो, वरना भूल जाओगे. पढ़ लोगे, समझ में भी आ जाएगा, दिस इज नॉट रॉकेट साइंस, दिस इज नॉट IIT JEE और नीट की प्रिपरेशन, समझ में सब आ जाएगा बट याद नहीं रख पाओगे. These notes are not available. These notes are only built for our students जो साथ में पढ़ रहे हैं. We release only 2 parts of these notes. Dominate prelims will help with NCERT. Yes. These notes are basically built by 4 things. NCERTs, reference books like Lakshmikant, Spectrum और Leong और जो भी basic Lakshmikant books हैं. फिर टॉपर नोट्स, लास्ट ईयर हमारे टॉपर थे आदित्य पांडे, पवन दत्ता, रैंक 22, रैंक 48 and all these, हमने इनके नोट्स लिए, प्लस हमारे जो टॉप स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं, वी लुक एट देयर नोट्स एंड देन वी ट्राई टू क्रंच एवरीथिंग टुगेदर इनटू दीस कॉलम्स एंड रोज. एंड इनमें से फिर एडिशनल कॉलम्स एंड रोज मेंटर्स बनाते हैं जो पेरिफेरल फैक्ट, मिसलेनियस फैक्ट, जिन पे हमको लगता है कि अब सवाल आ सकते हैं. आई शोड यू राइट, अभी देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन जो फिश पे था, दिस वन 2021. इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट अगर उस साल बंदों का ये सवाल सही निकला होगा, क्योंकि देयर इज UPSC नेवर यूज्ड टू आस्क सच क्वेश्चंस. If I'm not wrong, and I checked with Zeeshan sir today, why was this impossible? It was because first of all, this is an exotic species, and it's still not the part of our Wildlife Act. So there are 2 conditions which a species has to meet, and then it gets to be a part of one of our schedule. It's endangered, IUCN की लिस्ट में होगा, लेकिन हमारे में नहीं है. And so usually इतना important नहीं होता, but it was asked. It was asked in a simple way. You see the question on the right, question number 47. उन्होंने बस ये पूछा कि which of the following is not a bird. That's all they asked. But we realized that वैसे तो बहुत easy सवाल है, but it's easily missed. And अगर ये सवाल आ सकता है, then when we made the notes, we try to ensure, okay, what are the questions which UPSC can ask जहाँ पे state या government ने बहुत recently कुछ intervention किया. So you see this plant, this animal, they have made a comeback again.